Hi, and thank you for watching TargetedWest.com. This is DJ Chris. I'm here in beautiful Lodi, California. It's chilly now. I'm in my trusty camper. Today's the 17th of November, 2024. This is show number 139, which I was talking to our guest earlier about. Yeah, we're going 3 years now. If you have any questions or opinions, please send me an email, but of course the opinions of our guests are theirs of their own and not that of Targeted West or DJ Chris. We're a call mostly about V2K, targeted dreams, the gangster we may get along with it. And we're here tonight with our guest Craig Laforest from Australia. He's with us right now, and we're going to talk to him about a few things. So please come on in. Craig, how are you?
Great, Chris. It's wonderful to be here with you and your audience. I mentioned to you I've been waiting a couple of months to be able to talk to you. I've been back and forward to the US as a speaker for targeted individuals, and so I'm back in Sydney now, and yeah, really great. I head out of here in another week's time to go back to LA, but at the moment going through the continual ridiculous technology that we're all suffering from, but I'm doing the best that I can, as is everybody else, right?
Right, yeah, you and I both suffer from the telepathy or V2K. Do you also get the dreams that are bizarre?
I get the dreams manipulated every single night. Every single night they take over my body and then talk about it in the morning to remind me about how quote-unquote successful they think they've been.
Yeah, they ask you how was the movie or whatever. Yeah, they do that with me, or if
Correct.
I go to the boys' room to tinkle, they'll do that and ask me, well, how's your dream? And I'll go, a horrible B-rated movie flop.
Yeah, sad, pathetic people doing this to all of us. They wake me out of the deepest sleep every single night. And I have to go and do the same thing. I go back to bed, and sometimes they've hit me so hard I need to take just some basic medication, a Panadol, go back to bed, lie there while they carry on with their stupidity, and get up in the morning feeling as though I've had a couple of hours sleep. So that's pretty standard at the moment. Since I've been speaking out about it, it makes me stronger. You know, I don't care what they do to me, because at some point we all pass and they will die. And I'm a big believer in my spiritual part of me is so strong that I just keep going. And I know that I look around here in beautiful Sydney. It's now just gone 1 o'clock here in Sydney, and it's a magnificent day. You know, poured with rain last night, fantastic, just downpour. You know, we're on this beautiful planet with gorgeous, gorgeous weather. In some areas they're going through absolute hell. And we've got these idiots who've come along and have either chipped us, implanted us, or have scanned the brain. So it's pretty difficult to get up in the morning and then just go through the day with these idiots, you know, in your head all the time. But I'm just focused on doing the best I can while I'm here.
That's what is important. I have the idiots too in my head. One of the things I do, like I provided to you, is my V2K reduction mixes, my DJ career that I've had for 42 years, and I mix it up for everybody, and that gives you some relief. It doesn't make it go away, but it distracts you. Any kind of music, dance music helps a lot because it's constant. Jazz, classical sometimes is too quiet and they break in. It has to be busy music, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, and I'm a classical pianist, and I used to also sing, and I can't do any of that now. I sit at the piano and play, and they interrupt me, of course, and say, play this note, play that note. Oh, you've missed that one, do that again. So, you know, these idiots, and I just refer to them as idiots. I also refer to them as cats, C-A-T-S, cowards, actors, and traitors. They're traitors to themselves and traitors to their country and traitors to us. I just put on music as well, and for the first time I received some of your fantastic music, Chris, and I put that on and I thought, this is great, and I blasted my condo with your music. So thank you for that. And I suggest to people who, I know it's really tough during the day when these perpetrators are continually broadcasting their filth to us and think that they're really clever, just put on some music. Do not respond to them. I've adopted a method called the grey rock method, Grey rock, as in rock method, and you can just Google it. And it's a really great way not to recognize what they think is their power. And it takes away from the narcissist their quote-unquote power by not responding. It's very difficult, I know, because you want to reach out and say, listen, why are you doing this? I've done nothing to you, yada, yada, yada. I did that 35 years ago. I've been a victim for 35 plus years, and I can remember when they first stated, get out of bed. We want to make sure you're an outgoing guy. A lot of people like you. You're going to be the next Secretary of State. We're going to fly you around the world. We've got to get you used to being on these different time zones and yada, yada, yada. And I just then recognize, hang on, this is a lot deeper than this. This is wrong. You've gone into my head. I can recognize the difference between my own spiritual given thoughts, my God-given thoughts, and what you're doing to me. So if you haven't done it yet, do not respond. I recommend highly, do not respond to these people at all. It's very difficult sometimes because you can't imagine the stupidity of criminals sitting back in front of a microphone and doing this almost 24 hours a day. So I don't respond to them. I've given them every single chance in the world to stop this, but I realize that this will be with me until I pass. And put on some good music and listen to music and just say, wow, if you can't respect good music, I'm so sorry for your life. Music is, without music in our lives, what does it mean? So if you're not a music buff, get out there and train yourself to enjoy some music. Go and learn piano, go and do some vocal classes or something like that, because I find that really, really rewarding.
I agree. I played in orchestras all the way through college. I played violin so I can read music, but I've always wanted to play piano, but I never had a piano. So I lived through you to listen to that. I know you play beautifully. I've heard some samplings of your songs that you performed.
Thank you. Yeah, I did a tribute album to the Carpenters, Richard and Karen Carpenter, about, 20, 30 years ago. And I know it's up on YouTube. So if you want to go and hear some of my music, I didn't put them up there, but somebody put a couple of the songs from the album. So certainly go and enjoy Craig Laforest 30 years ago, hopefully.
Oh, I love that song. Are you really happy in this world? We're lost in the masquerade. Yeah, I love the Carpenters. Oh, absolutely fabulous. So you're a gay man, so am I. I don't know. A lot of people know that when they watch these videos, but it's true.
Yeah, I was
mentioned it quite often. Yeah, and we'll be mates for life. I'm going to stick with you no matter what. Don't you worry, and we'll have you back on again. This is kind of like an introduction to you to the work group, and it's already packed in. We're getting busy right now. So this is a good thing. Tell us more about your experiences with the targeting, and what other solutions besides music do you use? Do you read books and do things to keep yourself occupied, or do you get multitask, or what do you do to help you besides music?
One of the sad, pathetic things that these criminals do is they keep you exhausted so they can literally take your sentence and put in the words ahead of what you want to say. So I love to read, but I'm interrupted a lot of the time when I sit there because the technology is so advanced that they can look through your eyes and make comments about what I'm about to read. Or when I'm walking down the street, they make comments about people. And I'm also given visuals of certain people, reminders of things that I need to do in the day, as opposed to going to my own action schedule and looking at that, and which is fun to do. The technology is so advanced now that it's taken away the communication aspect of what we have, typically talking to each other and really understanding who that person is, the real being in that person. So that is frustrating because, as I said, I sit down at the piano, they interrupt me. I read a book, they interrupt me. I watch the show on TV, and sometimes they blank out what I'm trying to say on purpose. It's a question and answer show, which is Jeopardy, which is very famous around the world. And they give me answers to the questions in advance of the answers being given by
That is
by the commentator.
funny. I had that happen to me.
Yeah. So it's really a cheating game. In addition to being
Did that happen to you after Hollywood visits or before?
Yeah, it's increased dramatically. In the days of Hollywood, I knew now in retrospect that it was going on, but it was not until I arrived back in Sydney in August of 2011. I flew back, and I still had my house in Los Angeles, flew back to Sydney, walked in the door of my condo, and they said to me, "Don't think that just because you're back in Sydney, this is going to stop." And I just heard it so clearly. I hear their voices so clearly every day. It's like an amplifier in my head. And that's why I believe 100% that I've been chipped or implanted. Because it's a little bit hard to describe it unless you're inside my head. But they can go from one quote-unquote channel to another. They can go from one side to the other. And I hear the fine-tuning as if you're trying to get a radio station on point. So... that's something that I recognize, and the more I speak about it, the more it goes on, of course, which I'm not concerned about in the slightest. I sit down watching Jeopardy, and I'm given the answers. And if I travel, and I'm retired now, I'm 71, and I try and travel as much as I can because I love the ocean. I love what God has given us. I love the ocean. Love ships. Always did as a young kid, and have been blessed to make enough money when I was living up in Los Angeles for 28 years that I can now travel, and I'm bombarded though. I'm attacked heavily on board the ship wherever I go. I'm doing one back to Sydney from Los Angeles next week on the 27th, 46 days, and I'm just hit direct by satellite. And I get burned on my body, all over my bodies, as most of us do, because we're 71%. Water in our bodies, and they heat up the surface of my skin, and I end up with red marks on my body. The feet swell up like a lot of people go through as well. So it's unfortunate these people really keep doing this to us. There's no need to do it. They know that the technology works. So all I can assess is that they're trying to protect the people who have developed the technology beyond Robert Duncan, and we'll talk about Robert in a moment. But beyond what Robert has achieved, and Robert said quite openly, they've taken my technology and now they're abusing people around the world, not only in the United States. So, it's one of those things. It's just one of those things. Wrong place, wrong time. Being gay, they've targeted gay men heavily, and they did that with the LSD. You may remember with heterosexual men back in the 70s.
Yeah, and I think crystal meth is, as you and I both suffered from using it, is a plant of the CIA and the world Illuminati to mess up gay people. And then it seems into this crack. And they give crack to black people. They give PCP to Hispanics. It's the same old game.
Yeah, and we went through, in the 80s, I lost my husband in June of 85. And I look back and I think, wow, what we went through as gay people, I believe that the CIA developed the virus, as is happening with COVID now. I've got a great mate who also happens to be gay and works with scientists to find out what is in the COVID vaccine. And what they're coming up with is outrageous. And we were forced in Australia to go and have the COVID injection if you wanted to travel anywhere. So I just think that what gay men went through and black people went through, stating that the virus came from black people because of a scratch of a monkey. It was developed purposely to get rid of the people that they didn't understand and that they didn't respect. And this is part of the issue still in the United States, where you've got this dichotomy of white people against black people and black people against white people. I understand the whole situation. You look at the history of the Civil War and what went down about people not understanding who we are as God-given created people. It's disgusting. It's disgusting what's happened. In the early 80s, we were running everywhere. I was losing friends, and we weren't given anything by the Republican Party. Absolutely nothing at all. No one wanted to talk about it.
Actually, the Republican Party at a press meeting laughed about AIDS when it first came out under Reagan.
Yeah, correct. Wouldn't even mention the word, even though he had a gay son. I mean, incredible. So, in answer to your question, mate, I've been segued into this, but we've got certain amounts of people in certain groups who have been targeted, and I get frustrated that these men who just go and bully women with this targeting. We've got about 60-70% of ladies who are targeted, and the rest are men. Bring it on to me. Bring it on. If you really want to target people, bring it on to me. I'll pass eventually. Do you really need to go and hurt these women around the world? What do they do?
Yeah, like we said earlier, it's the majority, 70% of targets are women.
Yeah. And to go through what they do in the middle of the night or during the day by raping not only women but men as well. I mean, I used to be literally. They haven't done it as much lately because I don't know if they got a bit of a fear about it, but it's devastating technology. And unfortunately,
are they doing the sex and death cult thing on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, me
also,
too.
Yeah. Also, and to be very, very direct, they say you haven't gone and done something for a long, long time, and you're not going to find someone because you're fat and ugly, which is great. I'll take that on. I'm fat and ugly. I can only imagine what you look like. Go and look in the mirror if you need to really say that to us. They use all these disgusting sentences. It's the words that Robert Duncan, when he came down here to Australia last year, and he just said, "This is what the CIA does. They take on these idiots who work in the CIA offices or in little areas around the world, pay them money, and they're protecting this technology which they believe is still going to work on other countries. But every country has this technology. The major countries have this technology. So when you really consider that these people who have to hurt you so much, it's nothing about you at all. Whatever they say to you, it's nothing at all about you. It's about them. They're just so unhealthy. They're just psychotic. They have no way of doing anything other than negativity. They suffer from their own mental imbalance. It's nothing to do with the people
I
that
agree.
they're.
I think they're dark triads, which are Machiavellian, psychotic, and more. So that's what they are, in my opinion. There's about 1 in 20 people are like that in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to my time in Los Angeles, one of the last positions I had was as a consultant for the scientist director James Cameron. And I lived with Jim Cameron and his wife Susie. I knew her prior to her marrying Jim. She was in Titanic as the granddaughter. So we were best friends, and she auditioned for Titanic. She got on into the movie, and it was fascinating to travel up to Seattle, Washington with Jim and Susie to do some work on Avatar. And we went to this firm called iLabs, the Institute for Learning and Brain Sciences. And we saw there a child used to project thoughts onto a screen. The child was given the names of animals, and the child would project the animal onto a screen, and also words. It was pretty disgusting that the child was used, but Jim stood up at the end of that and said, tell me something that I don't know about this. Tell me something that I don't know. I know all this information. And when we got back to Malibu, Susie said to me, what did you think about that? I said, oh, it was pretty amazing. And she said, well, Jim's heavily involved in that. So I think there's a correlation between my being gay and James Cameron, who's heavily involved in trying to understand the brain and doesn't associate very well with people at all. Considers himself a celebrity, and is unable to have a discussion with somebody unless it's about James Cameron.
How did you meet him?
Through Susie. So Susie, his present wife, I met Susie about 6 years prior to her auditioning for Titanic. And so she started dating Jim. She went to the audition, got the role as the granddaughter, the young granddaughter who flies over with Rose to the vessel to try and find the Titanic and so forth. So I met her, and she ended up dating Jim, and finally he asked her to marry him. And I was living in my home in Los Angeles and decided to come back to Sydney about 2009, and she contacted me and said, listen, you're part of the family. Why don't you come over here? And I've got this idea for a business, and you can consult with us and set it up. So I went back to LA, and I lived with them for about 4 or 5 months in Malibu, and it was just the dynamics between them were dreadful. I couldn't relate to watching this. It was Susie's his fifth wife, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but it's not dissimilar to what these idiots are doing to us. Their power is through the money that they're making and the fact that they like power. They like to have power over people, and to sit around doing this
power,
every single
money, control. You're right.
Yeah, money control. Once you've got money, someone said to me once you become a billionaire, what's the next step? What else do you need in life? What else are you seeking that you don't have? Why do you have to have a sad obsession with your soulless being and go after people just because you need to prove power to yourself? I can't understand it, and I just pass it over. I pray about it, and I know that eventually the wrath of my Creator will come down on these people. This is not the only time I'm going to be on Earth or somewhere else in this incredible, beautiful infinity. You know, you just got to look outside of it today and think, wow, how gorgeous is this? I know it's tough going through this torment and this technology, and it's frustrating that they don't get it. But you just keep going. You just keep going. We've all just got to keep going.
Yes, we do. Yeah, my voices chant a certain actress right now. They want me to contact them to tell them they're in danger. You know what that setup is. Then I end up on the news, and they said they're writing letters to this person right now, and I don't even know who this person is hardly. So why would I be interested in them? Especially it's a female. Wouldn't I be interested in some guy or something? Yeah, but no. So it's it's just all BS. And I do. My voices say they're the Illuminati. I believe they're really the CIA, but they pretend to be the Illuminati. But their tone is law and order mostly, and they consider me a criminal in their books, and always accusing me of crime or pedophilia. That's another favorite of theirs. They ask me about an imaginary person that doesn't exist in my life that's young, and they keep saying, "Where's Pikachu? Where is Pikachu?" They do that all day long. They go, "Hey, you piece of shit, where's Pikachu?"
It's a standard. It's a standard. If they don't understand who we are as beings,
it's a very not a lot of questions at the end when you really think about it. It's just a main group of things they bring up.
If they don't understand who you are as a person, they attack you. And I highlight, I'm a gay man. I was born that way. There was nothing that went down in my family, or I dated women, but I know that I was created to be gay. We've got to embrace everybody. Who are you to determine that because I'm gay, you can go and use me in your technology and attack me, or have me at this point in my life where I want to give back and help so many people, take that away from me? I state it all the time. You know, I've recognized that I've got this evil in me that won't let go simply because they're soulless, and they will die that way. And God help them. Quote unquote. I don't mean that in a way. You can repent, but if you don't repent, watch out. Whether you're religious or not, you know, in the Bible it's written there. Watch out. Just watch out for the wrath of God.
So do you forgive them for what they've done to you and have moved on, like I have mostly?
That's a good question. I only forgive people who are serious about offering forgiveness, show that they want to be honest about it and say that we got caught up in something. I would want someone like Robert to come up and say, you know what, Robert went through hell with his torture with his directed energy weapons. I spoke to him 1 hour prior to him being murdered by the CIA with directed energy weapons. He was in his car in Boise, Idaho, and I could only forgive people if they're sincere about it. But these people aren't sincere. They've gone and they wake me up every day. They're the last voices I hear when I put my head on the pillow. And God doesn't, God knows that if you don't do the right thing by other people, if you continue hurting people just for the sake of hurting people and protecting somebody, watch out. No, I do not accept it. I know the Lord's Prayer has that, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. That doesn't happen unless the person is sincere and really means, okay, I'm stepping out of this. I might save my soul, and I will speak out about this. I don't believe in someone repenting just for the sake of it when they're about to die. That's BS to me. That doesn't make sense at all.
Gotcha. Well, I'm sure glad we met. This is a really great conversation. You're listening to myself talking with Craig Laforest. It's live from Australia. We're at 2 different time zones. I'm in Lodi, California. We have 200-year-old grapevines here. You probably like that. So you've talked about Dr. Robert Duncan. Have you ever considered writing a book about your experiences?
Yeah, I'd love to do it, but I think that I can gain more. I can help our targeted community more if I speak out about this. It's very difficult to speak. I've lost 2 brothers through this. They don't want to talk to me about it. I've lost some friends, but I've got a really good foundation of friends who have done the research. Some were here I had Robert here at my home to do a presentation, and some of them were here. So the base people that I have in my life are those that understand what this technology is about. So to sit down and write a book about it would take too long. I'd be interrupted all the time while I'm writing the book. So I think that I have a better opportunity to communicate by traveling, getting it out there. When I get on board this ship, I tell you, some people either want to know me or they don't, because the standard question is, what do you do now that you're retired? And I bring out my Ecotour business card, which has our website on it, and I talk about targeted justice, and I talk about targeted individuals. And I simply say now, because it gets out of hand sometimes, people either want to know more, and it's hard to repeat the same story, as you can imagine, when you're trying to relax on a voyage. So I just say, look, here's the website to go to. Just Google what is it? Unethical experimentation on U.S. citizens. And there's a plethora of so much information about what your country has done to its own citizens. And now has the, what to do it to friends of mine who are targeted here in Australia. I'm in Sydney, and I'm contacted all the time by people saying, you know what, I've been written off as a freak. My family, I've lost my family. I've been given medication. I've got to go into some place and get an injection. And that's just absolutely so wrong that the general practitioners are slowly learning about this. I've made sure my general practitioner has heard about my journey through this, and he's referred me to psychiatrists and psychologists. It's just, no, you go down that road of speaking to these people, and they don't want to know about it. They don't want to know about it. It's all to do with how you're brought up in your family.
Right, I know. I agree with you. Well, I hope you don't mind, but we have a quick message from the folks at TI Events we need to send through. So please wait a moment while we get that ready. And here we go. Here's a quick message from TIEvents.org.
Chris, I've been hosting events for targeted individuals, but no one ever comes.
You need TIEvents.org. It's where TIs find all the events, conference calls, meetups, webinars.
How do I get listed?
Just go to TIEvents.org. It's easy. TIEvents.org, where the TI community connects. List your event today.
That's TIEvents.org, which is listing this call right now, and people can click on the information and go right to our call right now. So it's a very important resource. Do you use that site at all, Craig?
No, I haven't. So I've written it down for people who do contact me in Australia. I will pass that along to them, because a lot of people are really struggling. And out of the blue, I get these calls. My number's on my Facebook page, and I've got a YouTube channel with my name on there. So I'm easily contactable by people, but I will pass that site along to them. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, very good. And, our video recording we're doing now will be on YouTube on our popular channel. I'll have that on Monday afternoon. I think we have Not a lot of people, but around 400 subscribers, so we don't do too badly there. It's
right.
really it's a backup for my BitChute, which I've had for
Yep.
3 years, and I just keep spreading out the word. We're on Spotify, so you'll have your voice on someone's speaker while they're motoring down the road in their car. So we'll be everywhere, and then on archive.org for posterity.
Excellent. That's great.
So what
Great
would
to have
you
it.
what would you like to talk about now?
I just want to look. I don't know if people know the history, and at any time, if you have people who want to ask questions, I'm happy to answer any. It's when I look back at the history, we're basically repeating ourselves. What the United States has done by you had the war with the Brits, and then go west, young man, against the the Red Indians. The Brits did the same thing with Australia. We arrived in 1788 as with 3 boatloads of convicts and took over from the Aborigines. So we're slowly progressing to make a change here. But boy, oh boy, it's taken 2.5 centuries to do that in Australia, and what it's created. And now with this technology, what's being created is so it's just such a horrible part of life to be in. And all we're trying to do is look after the children of the future. I'm reminded, they constantly throw these pictures into my head, and we've worked with Barry Trower, the physicist, used to be with MI5, and Barry's gone and said that in 3 generations' time, which is only 60 years, we won't be here. But 1 out of 8 children will be born healthy. The rest will be born with some form of handicap, cancer, autism. And we're seeing a higher number down here in Australia than we've ever seen before, a 57% increase on autism. And where I live, I look down I'm on the 6th floor of my condo, and I've got a lovely view of Sydney Harbour, but for the first time on one of the major streets here, William Street, I'm seeing the effects of what's happening, and I believe it totally from satellite and from 5G, and will eventually go into 6G. I'm seeing burning on the tips of the leaves on these magnificent trees all the way along William Street, and I've never seen that before in the 17 years that I've owned my condo. So these children, as you said earlier on, Chris, are being hurt. Their animals are being hurt, and it's only because of certain people within the CIA, and whether it's DARPA or Department of Defense, it doesn't matter. But what you're doing for the future generations when you won't be here is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
I agree.
It's idiotic.
We will have a Q&A session at 6:45, so that's coming up in 13 minutes. So we'll switch modes then.
Yeah,
continue,
that's great.
Sir.
Yeah, no. So I just look back on what Robert said when he was down here. He flew down to Sydney. We spent a week together, and he did not talk about at all that he was being affected by directed energy weapons. And if you haven't read his book yet, and it's very hard to get through, believe me, I was recently away up in Colorado Springs for the Targeted Justice event up there, and I took Robert's book, Project Cellcatcher, the volume 2 up there, and I hadn't read it before. And in his acknowledgements, and I'll read it, part of it quickly, he said, "Without the love and support of my perfect mother and father, it would have not been written and the story told after the abuse and physical torture that I had to endure. But there was a light at the end of the tunnel. The shadow agencies showed me everything that they were working on and said, if I could survive, I could write about anything that they told me and showed me. I carried the weight of the world in silence on my shoulders like Atlas. Finally, I shrugged to divulge the truth despite threats to kill my family or torture me again from my government handlers." Robert never mentioned this to me at all. At all. And if you'd like to see the video...
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that with us. Keep going.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, Chris. And Robert also said, once this technology is known, why continue hurting people? Once they have world domination, then what? And he stated that the perpetrators of the crime don't believe humans, as they grow with technological capabilities, can stop their, and this is really important, this is really to the point of whether you believe in a God or a higher power or a creator. He said that they can't stop their inherent sinfulness, and that a single individual can wipe out the world now if they're not monitored. And so they're going to a system where there is a global hive mind, a peer system with no secrecy, no judgment, and we work from that state. Of course, Robert disagreed with the methodology to torture innocent people in order to get the data, and that's why he opened up about this and became a whistleblower for 23 years. And he called the program Satan, S-A-T-A-N, silent assassination to adapt to their own networks. So the application has phenomenal possibilities, but our privilege of life is taken from us as the experimental guinea pigs. It's no different to the returning vets who have been prescribed medication. Outrageous what these doctors do to people who are hearing voices, who are coming back from a war zone. These Nazis who came into the USA post-World War II, instead of going to the Nuremberg trials, were given new names, new homes, salaries, and told the US government, we'll give you every piece of information that we have after our research in the concentration camps, as long as you look after us and don't send us to the trials and be hanged. And that's what's happened. That's what happened after World War II. And as you know, starting in 1953, I think through to 1972, we had the MK Ultra program. So I was born in 1953, and I'm not going to say that I was implanted or chipped at that point, but somewhere along the way it's happened. And I speak to professionals regularly. I meet a lot of them who travel on this particular cruise line that I travel, and I've met a neurosurgeon, and he said we see these lights in the skull when we go in to conduct surgery on somebody for a tumor. And they're called LFOs, light foreign objects, but we would never go in there and find out what they are. We only go for the tumor because the brain is so delicate. But there's a way to get up into the back of the head. I think it's the medullum oblongata, where they literally go up through the back of the nose into the skull, and then the skull creates a barrier over the implant, and its calcification happens. So it's located in the hind brain, anterior to the cerebellum. So they affect me dramatically everywhere. They can make me sneeze. They can make me cough. They have control, and they're very proud of the fact that they have control of my body. At least they refer to it as your body. They know the difference. I've said often that they're going to scar my soul, but they'll never get my soul.
Absolutely incredible information. Thank you for sharing so far. We have a few minutes before the Q&A session in the book club. Yep. Have you joined the book club yet?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
I will send you a link tomorrow. How's that?
Okay, excellent. That would be great.
Yeah, we have 185 members now.
Good on you, Chris. This is wonderful work that you do. Amazing, amazing. Look, Robert identified there are at least 26 ways to manipulate the human nervous system in the brain. And he stated, and I quote, "This is a global phenomenon. There is nowhere on Earth you can escape. The full spectrum of electromagnetic energy and physics are combined in this. From the ground, wavelengths travel through the ionosphere, bounce off of them and the earth ground. We are bathed in a natural magnetic field of Earth. With those two things, you have a nuclear magnetic resonance machine. Surveillance is available when integrating with satellites." Look, this technology could have been great to help people. Put a chip in somebody's hand, if you've got a lost child or so forth. There are wonderful things that have come out of it. But these criminals, there's no other word for them, these criminals, make us go to see a GP or talk to somebody and be dissed and dismissed by people of knowledge who don't have the time to do the research. They just give you medication and say, go home and sleep it off. So if anybody...
I've had that happen. That happened to me in 2003 when I went to a doctor.
Yeah. And they're only human, but they're human beings. They're no different to us. That's the unfortunate thing. They're just human beings like us. And to change the medical understanding and to approach the people above them. It will happen at some point. It will happen, but we just have to be patient and keep doing what we're doing.
Right. I have the same psychiatrist for 20 years, and I've already got her believing, so it's a good thing. I got her convinced. At first, she said it was a drug-induced illness. They first went to that, and then she gave me medication. I'm on one of them that really helps, but they didn't. She didn't listen.
Yeah, I got off my medication. I was prescribed medication, and that's been a standard in the United States for the returning vets. That is one of the saddest stories. These people go out to protect us, protect our country, and somebody mentioned, one of the lieutenant colonels, he stated that 98% of the depressed, anxious vets, post-traumatic vets who came back, they were medicated by psychiatrists. And the propensity in psychiatry, there is such a high percentage of psychiatrists who commit suicide, and they are prescribing medication. And they're prescribing psychotropic drugs such as Zoloft, Seroquin, Trazodone, Prozac, Xanax to these people who went to war, didn't see war, but were so anxious about being in a war. I think it was about 87% of these people who went to a psychiatrist or a doctor, 87% were prescribed medication.
A lot of those doctors are VA doctors, which is our government health care for veterans that return.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is we know, thank God, because of the work that you do and I do and others around the world, and hopefully some of your audience today will go out and share this information. Be strong about this. You may lose some family members or you may lose some loved ones or friends, but this is the reality. There's so much information out there. There's so much proof about this, what's going on. And again, you may lose some people. However, you're being honest to yourself. Yeah, we're healthy people.
You made 80 friends right now on the call, plus all the people that are going to watch the video, and me, and my partner, and my cat. So you're good to go.
Yeah.
And a whole new bunch of friends. And we would never leave you for any of that stuff because we believe you because it's happening to us.
Yeah, thank you. And if there's anybody who wants to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook. I've got a public page there under Craig Laforest. And please just let me know that you heard about this on Chris's show today. I get a lot of friends requests, and you know how that works on Facebook. I'm monitored heavily on Facebook. I go into some of the messages, and a like or a love is put up there, or a heart is put up there before I even see the message. The same with my phone and computer. It's hacked all the time. So please just mention that you saw me, or heard me rather, on here, and I'll be happy to friend you.
That would be great. Yeah, I quit Facebook and I only use Twitter or X only for promoting my call. I know you're on there too. I feel safer on Twitter. Facebook is too weird. I had a lot of bots and a lot of women with big boobies want to be my friend. It was really quite strange.
Oh, did you send me the one today? There was a whole group of them that came out of nowhere, ladies, who said we'd like you to, become one of our members. So it's funny how they do a post. They send it out to everybody, and I just don't respond to any of those.
Yeah, it's wild, and that happens to everybody, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I think. Look, as a community, as a population, what you need to do in North America now that you've got a change of government with President Trump, I would suggest heavily that you either do this as a group of people and you send it off to their to his office at a given time, so they're bombarded with this information. I hear that he's heard about this, but nothing has changed for us. I know that President Biden signed an executive order highlighting how using B2K technology and directed energy weapons on people is a crime. That hasn't changed, unfortunately. But I would suggest that maybe, Chris, you'd want to organise that all the people who listen into your show
That's
sends off.
funny. I was just thinking that, yeah, get a letter together that we can send to the Congress and the Senate and the President and his people. Get together and write a nice letter we can share. Yeah, I was going to talk about that. That's where you're reading my mind. Ooh.
No, and put in the links, put in the proof, and then just keep doing it month after month. Make sure everybody sends it at the same time, depending on your time zone. But just send it off. Make sure it's a legitimate address.
We're going to do that. Are you ready for a Q&A session with the audience?
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready, Chris.
Okay, hold on, please. You'll have to star 6 yourself to go off of mute, of course, Craig. We have Craig Laforest here, live from Australia, and we're going to go into Q&A mode so you can ask questions. Okay, Craig Laforest is here. Does anyone have a question for Craig? He's available to answer your question.
Hi, Chris. This is Jill. I have a question.
Go ahead.
So, I hear a lot of people talk about how, they're going to school and they're able to do, different things. But, my targeting is so bad that I can't even, thought process is impossible. And if I try to read anything or do anything, they're constantly, removing whatever I'm thinking or reading. It's so frustrating. They're actually forcing me into disability.
What do you think about that, Craig?
What do you guys do to where you can actually get around that?
Yeah, it's a great point that you've made, and I hope you can hear me okay.
Yes, I can.
Yes, we can.
Great. It's a great point that you have made, and this is going to be something that the United States government needs to do something about this. I was told that the president doesn't realize what's happening with the CIA. The CIA has a budget every year. They're in control of this, and the president doesn't know about it. You hear these stories go back and forward. I don't know which one is the truth. All I can suggest is this is going to become such a liability for the United States because you have hundreds of thousands of people. We have millions of people around the world. We estimate beyond 7 million people around the world are being hit with this. And if you're being hit by this every single day, as I am, it's going to be a liability with all these people going into homes and all these people having to really be taken care of in some way. And how can you do that if you've got a family? It's such an idiotic technology to go and target husbands and wives with their children, and all you're trying to do is on your time on Earth, the time that you've been given now is to do the best you can, raise your family, give back, and enjoy your life. And I understand totally what it does to you physically. It just wears you out. Unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have a way of stopping it. But I believe it will happen at some point. There'll be another whistleblower like Robert. Someone will step up and say, you know what, my children, my grandchildren are going to be affected by this.
Right. Okay.
Just keep strong. Stay with the groups like this. Talk about it with the people that you love and who care about you. And make sure that if there's anybody who says this is a conspiracy theory, I'm waiting to run into a couple of people who are avoiding me and laugh at me behind my back, and I don't worry about that in the slightest. But if somehow with divine intervention it happens that somebody through mind control, whatever, I don't understand how it works sometimes, it just happens, that I'll be able to say, here's the proof, go away and educate yourself. And if you can't do that, don't pick on people. You're a human being as well. Just perhaps take on board the fact that we know something that you don't.
Gotcha. Okay, next question for Craig. Come on in.
Did Robert Duncan make it clear to you shortly before his death or any time after whether or not he was being hit with directed energy weapons himself on a regular basis?
Yes, he did. Yeah, I spoke to Robert regularly, and I flew up from Sydney to Colorado Springs in the end of August for a 4-day 4-day meeting event with other TIs. And I'd spoken to Robert about 3-4, he passed in July, and I spoke to him early July. I called him and I said, Robert, I'm coming up to the States. I think you should come over from Idaho. It's not too far to go. Oh, and he said, no, I don't think I can. I've got this going on. I said, Robert, you do this all the time. Mate, come along, be there. And he said, give me a week. And I said, no, you always do that. I'm coming up from Australia. You can come, and I want to see you again. So he said, okay, I'll come. And I will be there. You'll be there. Dr. Len Bear, who's also a victim out of near Chicago, is going to be there. And we'll have a discussion about this in front of all the people who are attending the event. And we found out that he was in the house when the initial call started, and he said, I've got to leave the house. I'm being bombarded. So he went out to his phone with his phone to the car. He sat in the car, and we had the discussion. And he was being hit really badly. And as I just mentioned from the acknowledgements in the book, he was such a gentleman, such a wonderful, wonderful, kind man. And it was such a blessing to meet Robert after all the conferences that we'd had. And he finally arrived at Sydney Airport. And what a great man! But yes, he was targeted, and I was told by the way he died, the timing, that it was just 1 hour after he had accepted to go and speak in Colorado Springs.
Hi, Craig. Craig,
this is Anthony. Do you have a question?
Anthony. Hi, Craig. This is Anthony Medina calling from the great state of Arizona. Thanks for speaking tonight.
You're welcome.
I circa around the time that Governor Ventura made that piece on targeted individuals and directed energy weapons. I believe around that time, Dr. Duncan mentioned that he was allowed to write the books, and that what he had to pay in return was he was going to get tortured for 1 year. And did the CIA go back on that deal, or what happened?
Yeah, there were some things that he didn't talk about, and I've never heard of that before. I know that he did say in that interview with Jesse Ventura that he thought this technology had gone beyond being able to be stopped. However, I think that he might have been so heavily hurt from the directed energy weapons that maybe he wasn't as clear as he could be. And he was when he was in Australia, he was very clear. But I noticed during the discussion that we had in my home, there were moments where he was finding it hard to get his words together. I don't think Robert would ever go back on his word. He was a real soldier. He just would battle through everything. And I think at that point, after 23 years, who would then turn around and say, I'm not going to do this anymore?
No,
okay, thank you.
I think my main question was, did the CIA go back on their word? Because I understood that in exchange for writing that book, that he was going to get tortured for 1 year. And I thought that maybe the government went back on their own word to him.
I didn't hear that in that interview with Robert. Maybe it's another one you're referring to. However, I believe that the CIA absolutely were involved. Look, Robert created the technology. They took it from him. They took the technology, and he said, I got out of it because I saw that they were using it on our own citizens. So I think that they played along with Robert for a while, and threw a coin up and just said, okay, enough of this. It's too widespread. We need to protect ourselves. It's going to get out at some point. He's going to mention names, and then we're in trouble. So I don't know. Sorry, I don't know what you were referring to about this 1 year. Robert didn't stop talking about this at all.
Well, thank you, Anthony, for that. Let's go to the next question in line, please. Next question for Craig, please. Come on in.
Hi, Craig. My name is Michael Parsons. You and I, we've been Facebook friends for probably over 4 years now. I have a Facebook group called Targeted Individuals That Are Being Slow Killed. I've been following you on YouTube, and I've watched, I think, about 5 of your videos that you put out there on YouTube, and I follow you on Twitter as well. It's really good to hear you on this call tonight, spreading awareness, and I just want to give you a big thank you for putting out the information on your videos and doing what you do. I think, in my opinion, one of the strongest key roles to overcoming this is getting as much awareness out to the world as possible about this. So good job, and keep doing what you do, and focus it, Craig, on a better future for yourself. Don't focus on what they're inducing in your head all the time. You know what I mean? All the mind trickery. So God bless you, and have a good day, man.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Great to hear you on here. It's really wonderful. Thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate it. Look, I'm not going to stop doing what I do. I just can't stop doing what I do. I've got to do the best that I can to stop this technology. And I'm stuck. I'm in Australia, and I feel a little bit restricted because we don't have the vast numbers that you have in the United States, of course. But I'll contribute as much as I can to stopping this technology and getting the word out. And again, just remember, if you are concerned or you question your association with the spirit, a higher power, it's not always easy, because a lot of people are by themselves. They've targeted people and they've isolated people. So just look out every single day and say, you could be talking in the back of my head, but look at this gorgeous tree. Look at this view. Look at what we're given every single day. It's spectacular on this earth, and people have just gone and screwed it up. And I keep it really simple. I again, do not respond to these people. It's the best method, and just go out every day and think. I wake up in the morning and I say, "Thank you, God, for my life." And I have a glass of orange juice, and I say, "Thank you for my glass of orange juice." I have a glass of wine at night time, and I say, "Cheers, dear God." I really respect it, and I'm called ridiculous names because I acknowledge a higher power. If I have tears in my eyes, I'm called a child from the pain that I go through. They give me the language that they use is exactly in line with what Robert said in that YouTube video with me. It's an hour and 14 minutes if you haven't heard it. But it's exactly the narrative that these perpetrators use. So thank you, Michael. So good to hear your voice.
Hey, you're welcome. I do have one question for you, completely off the topic of targeting. I noticed on Facebook, when you and Robert Duncan got together, you guys took a helicopter ride in your helicopter. And my question to you did, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
My question would be to you. I used to talk to Robert on a regular basis on Facebook because he was on there, and he used to drink a lot. He gave me the impression he used to like to drink a lot. So I was wondering, did you guys catch a good buzz, have a good drink while you was rolling around in the helicopter?
No. I never thought. We would have a glass of wine at night time, but I would never see Robert drunk or anything like that. And obviously in the helicopter, you go through a breathalyzer test before you get on board the helicopter. But it was really fantastic. And the bitchute kept going on in my head and saying, "Oh, look, I could get you now to push the pilot, the instruments and all this carry on that they go on about." But at the same time, it was a wonderful moment to sit there with Robert and view. It was a spectacular day. And we took off from Mascot International Airport and flew right over the city, buzzed into the Opera House, over the harbour, and then went along the southern beaches, Bondi Beach and Coogee Beach, and came back to the airport. And Robert loved it. He was so funny. We were going to go up the Sydney Harbour Bridge, which is a bridge climb. You can go up the Sydney Harbour Bridge and cross over and come back down the other side. And he said, "No, I just don't think." And I said, "Don't worry about it, mate. I don't think I could do it either." But he was a joy. He laughed all the time, and he just gave back so much. And as you'll see in the interview, he was just casual about everything and just delivered so much information. I was so surprised. So, yeah, no, a great guy, and I miss him. I miss him dreadfully.
Thank you for that, Michael. Next question before we go to an announcement for the weeklies from TI events. They'll be coming up in just a moment. Any more questions for Craig? Bring it on. Come on in.
you mentioned another call, several trips to, was it either the Arctic or Antarctica, where you were tracked with the V2K, or with the mind control. Did you receive V2K there?
Yes. Yeah, I've been fortunate. I've travelled up to the North Cape many times, up to the North Pole, and down to Antarctica. I've been down to Antarctica at least 4 times, and I've been. This is the sad part of what's happening within your government and perhaps our government. The satellites are being used to follow me and to hit me. But I've had the V2K, and I've been hit literally off my feet on the deck of the ship down in Antarctica and up at the North Cape. So it's worldwide, and the fact that these evil people, are getting away with doing this, using your tax dollars to put a satellite up into space, to be able to monitor people and hit people in any way they want to and make a joke of it, there's no word for it. There's no word for it. So clear V2K and clear transmission directed energy weapons via satellite on me. And I know that there was a discussion I was hearing that somebody had put out recently that the only continent where the V2K and the directed energy weapons weren't working was Antarctica. And I can tell you that it was overwhelming. No appreciation for the area that we are in as well. We had about 4 or 5 different landings in Antarctica and the Falkland Islands and South Georgia, and no respect whatsoever for the beauty that we were seeing in nature.
Thank you for that. Any more questions for Craig before we can continue questions after we play our top of the hour video. So Tranquility, if you want to go ahead now and cue it up. Tranquility's here in the house. Everybody say hi to her. And Craig, would you mind staying for a few minutes to allow her to talk? Hey, Tranquility, what's up?
I'm really enjoying the interview today. It's really great to have you here, Craig. I have a question. What did you say that CAT stands for? I forgot.
Sorry, what stands for?
CATS. C-A-T-S?
Oh, I call them, C-A-T-S. I call them cowards, actors, and traitors. You know, if you really don't respect me, you don't like me, just come and say it to my face. You can still, hit me as much as you want. Put a mask on if you want. I can't get to you because you can literally kill me on the spot. But I call them cats every single day. They're cowards and they're actors and traitors. They put on the story that they don't have any friends, don't have any family, and they don't have enough money, that they've got to do this job, and blah 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 blah. All these lies. It's just. I just take my time, and I don't respond to it. I don't respond to these cowards. They are cowards. They are cowards.
I agree. So without further ado, I think we'll have Tranquility play her video announcements so they go on the recording.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Week in TI Events, brought to you by TIEvents.org. It's always a privilege to join you here on DJ Chris's Targeted West show, a space thoughtfully created to support and uplift our community. So let's dive right in. Tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern, right after the Targeted West show, join Laura Ant's Voice to Heart conference call. This late-night favorite offers a space for TIs to connect and share, so don't miss it. Start the week strong with the Victory Through V2K conference call at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, hosted by Targeted Justice's VP, Lindsay. This week, Lindsay will be joined by special guest Midge Mathis, one of Targeted Justice's founders, sharing insights into her work. On Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Bad News After Dinner Jam welcomes Dave Case, inventor of the anti-tinnitus V2K Shield CD, for an engaging session you won't want to miss. Wednesday brings 2 enriching events. First at 7 p.m. Eastern, join Surviving Targeting with Gratitude and Science, hosted by licensed social worker Daniel Frankel, featuring special guest Armando, inventor of the Silent Night shielding device. Then at 9 p.m. Eastern, Absolutely Necessary, a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous for targeted individuals, provides a safe space to discuss alcoholism and its intersection with targeting. Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, Pat's International hosts a Thanksgiving cook-together call, a fun and interactive way for TIs to connect while preparing their favorite dishes. Later that evening at 6 p.m. Eastern, the Targeted Massachusetts conference call returns with moderator Frank leading another evening of meaningful discussion. On Friday, unwind with DJ Chris's Thank God It's Friday conference call from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, an open mic space for connecting with others. Right after, join Call for the Targeted, hosted by Louis Rowe, featuring engaging interviews, legislative updates, and practical advice. Did you enjoy tonight's insightful interview with Craig Laforest? Be sure to catch the replay of this impactful episode on YouTube, BitchUte, and Spotify, hosted by TargetedWest. Share it widely and help spread awareness. And next Sunday, join us again for another Targeted West show. It's an open mic night, a great opportunity to share your thoughts and experiences with the community. In addition to running Targeted West, DJ Chris is also an accomplished author. His Targeted Trilogy collection on Amazon shares powerful stories from the TI experience. Stay connected with DJ Chris by subscribing to his Targeted West newsletter at substack.com/@TargetedWest and follow him on X at TI Club 3 for updates and insights. TIEvents.org is your hub for upcoming events and initiatives in the TI community. Help grow our network by visiting the site and signing up for email updates. Hosting an event? Email TIEvents@protonmail.com to have it featured. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, and a special thanks to DJ Chris for his continued support. For more details, visit TIEvents.org and sign up for email updates. Until next time, this is Tranquility signing off and sending you all waves of positivity. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Well, thank you, Tranquility, for that. Yeah, we'll go ahead now and switch to our book club mode real quick, and it's a TI book club. It, of course, is presenting a book that I chose from Amazon by typing Targeted Individual, and this one's called The Targeted Individual Schizophrenic Survival Guide by Joshua Hayes. I gave it a 6 because it does seem schizophrenic. I think he may be suffering from it. I don't know, but the sentences are distorted. There's no real true storyline or anything or format. If you want to buy it, that's fine, but I'm not going to continue reading it. By the way, the author also was subjected to getting hooked on methamphetamine. So that's what the book is about how he was targeted after using that hideous drug that Craig and I talked about earlier. And so he wrote a book about it, but it's kind of crazy. But if you want to buy it, you can. The TI Book Club now has 185 members. You can join the TI Book Club today at bookclubs.com/TI Book Club/join/ and that, of course, we're now going to go back to Craig if he wants to answer more questions. Plus, we have open mic available. So we're going to end the recording now. Thank you for listening on your favorite platform. Please like and subscribe and make a comment. Thank you. Have a great day.